Sandy?
What happens when a simple high school love story turns into one of the biggest pop culture explosions of all time? Back in 1978, a movie packed with leather jackets, catchy songs, and unforgettable dance numbers didn't just hit theaters, it completely took over. Suddenly, everyone wanted to be part of the coolest clique at Rydell High, singing along like they'd been there all along. At the center of it all were two icons, John Travolta as Danny Zuko and Olivia Newton-John as Sandy, alongside a cast that brought attitude, humor, and just the right amount of chaos. But behind the scenes, things were way crazier than you'd expect. We're talking surprising casting choices, last-minute changes, and moments that almost completely changed the movie forever. And trust me, some of these stories are wild. Here are 15 jaw-dropping facts you've probably never heard. Let's saddle up. Number 15. Let's start with something you've probably noticed but never questioned. The students at Rydell High didn't exactly look like teenagers. That's because most of them weren't. Back in the late 70s, Hollywood wasn't focused on casting real teens. They wanted performers who could handle long shooting days, hit choreography perfectly, and deliver strong performances. So instead, they cast adults. The most shocking example, Stockard Channing, who played Rizzo. Rizzo is supposed to be around 17 years old, but Channing was 33 during filming. And honestly, that maturity is exactly what made the character so unforgettable. Her confidence, sarcasm, and edge felt real in a way that a younger actor might not have pulled off. Even the rest of the cast leaned older than expected. It created a version of high school that felt less like reality and more like a stylized memory of it. And if you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes stories so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe because the next facts only get more intense. Number 14. One of the most iconic scenes features the dreamy teen angel floating in to deliver advice in a flashy musical number. But here's the twist. That role was originally considered for Elvis Presley. Yes, that Elvis. Imagine the king of rock, Enroll, appearing as a literal angel on screen. It would have been a massive moment, but sadly, it never happened. Elvis turned the role down, and not long after, he passed away in 1977. The part eventually went to Frankie Avalon, who brought a lighter, nostalgic charm to the scene. Still, it's hard not to wonder how different that moment would have felt with Elvis himself. Number 13. It's impossible to imagine anyone other than Olivia Newton-John as Sandy, but believe it or not, she wasn't the first choice. Several major stars were considered, including Marie Osmond, who actually turned the role down. Why? She didn't agree with the ending. She felt Sandy changing herself for Danny sent the wrong message and walked away from the film completely. Another surprising name in the mix? Carrie Fisher? Yes, Princess Leia herself. In the end, Olivia Newton-John landed the role, but even then, there was one issue: her accent. Instead of forcing her to change it, the filmmakers rewrote Sandy's backstory to make her an Australian transfer student. Problem solved, and movie history was made. Number 12. Now, here's something wild. One of the most emotional songs in the entire movie almost didn't exist at all. When Olivia Newton-John signed on, she had one condition. She wanted a solo moment. At the time, the original story didn't include one. So halfway through production, a brand new song had to be written just for her. That song? Hopelessly Devoted to You. And here's the crazy part. It was filmed after production had already wrapped. That's why Sandy is alone in the scene. No other actors, no big setup, just her and the emotion. The result? An unforgettable moment that became one of the film's biggest highlights and even earned an Academy Award nomination. Number 11. The final carnival scene feels huge, energetic, and perfectly choreographed. But behind the scenes, total chaos. The now iconic song, You're the One That I Want, was added incredibly late into production. So late, in fact, that the choreography had to be created almost on the spot. The cast barely had time to rehearse. What you're seeing on screen is real excitement, real reactions, and a lot of improvisation. And somehow, it turned into one of the most memorable endings in movie history. Number 10. On screen, the dance competition looks electric. The music is pumping, the crowd is cheering, and every move feels effortless. It's one of those scenes that makes you want to get up and dance along. But behind the camera, it was closer to survival than celebration. The entire sequence was filmed inside a real gym during a California heat wave. There was no air conditioning, and once the massive film lights were turned on, the temperature skyrocketed to well over 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius. Now imagine wearing heavy costumes under those conditions. The guys guys were in thick suits, the girls wore layered dresses with tight fittings. Add in heavy makeup and constant movement, and you've got a recipe for exhaustion. And here's the kicker, it didn't wrap in a day or two. This scene took 5 full days to shoot. By day 3, the energy you see on screen wasn't just acting anymore, it was determination. Cast members were lying on the floor between takes, trying to cool down. Water breaks became essential. Some even had to step away due to the heat. Yet somehow, when the cameras rolled, they delivered pure magic. That shine on their faces? Not just stage glow, that's real sweat, real effort, and real dedication captured on film. Number 9. That intense drag race scene, it looks like the ultimate showdown, fast, dramatic, and full of tension. But what most people don't realize is that the location itself made things incredibly difficult. The scene was filmed in a massive concrete channel in Los Angeles, a place designed to carry runoff water through the city. By the time filming began, the area had been sitting under the hot sun for days. The surface conditions were rough, the environment was harsh, and every time the cars sped through, they kicked up water and debris into the air. Filming lasted several days, which meant repeated exposure to those conditions. Over time, people on set started feeling the effects. Even director Randall Kleiser pushed through long hours while feeling seriously unwell, determined to finish the scene no matter what. And one of the performers involved in the sequence showed incredible commitment, continuing to film despite not feeling at their best. It's one of those moments where the final product looks thrilling, but getting there required serious resilience from everyone involved. Number 8. Here's a blink and you miss it detail that actually caused a major behind-the-scenes scramble. In the diner scenes, the set was originally decorated with classic Coca-Cola signs to match the retro vibe. It made perfect sense aesthetically. But there was one big problem. The production had a promotional agreement with Pepsi. Once filming wrapped and someone noticed the mistake, it became a serious issue. Reshooting everything would have cost time and money the production simply didn't have. So instead, they turned to a clever workaround. Using editing techniques available at the time, they attempted to blur or obscure the logos. If you look closely, you can still spot those slightly distorted areas in the background. It's subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Decades later, updated versions tried to clean it up digitally, but the original workaround remains a fascinating piece of movie history. Number 7. The look of the pink ladies isn't just memorable, it's legendary. Those bright pink jackets didn't just complete the characters, they defined them. But originally, things were much more toned down. Early costume designs aimed for realism, outfits that would blend into a typical 1950s high school setting. But the filmmakers had a different vision. They didn't want realism, they wanted impact. They wanted something that would pop off the screen, something audiences would instantly recognize and remember. So the designs were reworked, bolder colors, sharper silhouettes, and a stronger sense of identity. And that decision paid off in a huge way. Those jackets became a symbol not just of the characters, but of confidence, friendship, and standing out. Even today, they remain one of the most iconic costume pieces in film history. Number 6. Before the film became the upbeat musical we know today, there was a very different vision being considered. A version that leaned darker, more serious, more grounded. Instead of bright colors and catchy songs, the tone would have been heavier, focused more on the tougher side of youth culture. It would have been a completely different experience, but that version never moved forward. Instead, the project evolved into something more energetic, more stylized, and far more accessible. And that shift changed everything, because what audiences connected with wasn't realism. It was the feeling, the music, the energy, the fantasy. Sometimes the best creative decision is choosing joy over realism. Number 5. Greased Lightning is unforgettable. The rhythm, the choreography, the attitude, and of course John Travolta leading the performance as Danny. But originally, that spotlight belonged to someone else. The song was written for Kaneki, played by Jeff Conaway, since the car was central to his character. But during production, the decision was made to shift the number to Danny instead. That one change had a ripple effect. It gave Travolta one of the film's most iconic moments, further cementing him as the central star. Meanwhile, the dynamic between characters subtly shifted as well. It's a perfect example of how one creative decision can reshape an entire scene. Number 4. Sandy's transformation is one of the most talked about moments in movie history. When Olivia Newton-John appears in that all-black outfit, the energy instantly changes. It's bold, confident, unforgettable, but that look came with a serious challenge. The pants she wore were authentic vintage pieces from the 1950s. There was only one pair, no duplicates, no backups, and they were extremely tight. So every day getting into that outfit required careful handling to avoid any damage, because if something went wrong, there was no replacement waiting. Despite that pressure, Olivia delivered a flawless performance, turning that moment into one of the most iconic transformations ever captured on film. Number 3. When the film was first released, expectations were relatively modest. It wasn't predicted to dominate the box office, but audiences had other plans. The movie quickly became a sensation. It climbed to the top and became the highest-grossing film of 1978, outperforming major releases. Its soundtrack filled radios everywhere. Its characters became cultural icons, and its influence didn't fade. For decades, it remained one of the most successful movie musicals ever created. What started as a simple story turned into a global phenomenon that continues to resonate even today. Number 2. Let's slow this down for a second, because this moment, it's one of the most debated endings in movie history. Everything builds exactly how you'd expect. The music swells, the characters reunite, the energy feels complete. Danny and Sandy finally find their rhythm together. The crowd is celebrating. It's the kind of ending that should fade out with a smile and a final note. But then something completely unexpected happens. They hop into a car, start driving, and suddenly they lift off into the sky. No explanation, no warning, no rules, just a flying convertible disappearing into the clouds like it's the most normal thing in the world. And for decades, audiences have been asking the same question. Wait, what just happened? Naturally, theories started popping up everywhere. Some viewers believed it symbolized freedom, Danny and Sandy leaving their past behind and rising into a new future. Others thought it represented fantasy, the idea that the entire story exists in a heightened, dreamlike version of reality. And then, there are the more extreme theories. Ones that try to reinterpret the entire story based on that final moment. But here's the truth that often surprises people. There was never a deep, hidden explanation planned. The creative team didn't sit down and map out a layered symbolic meaning behind the flying car. Instead, the decision came from a much simpler place. They wanted the ending to feel bigger than life. By the time you reach that final scene, the movie has already broken the rules of reality multiple times. Characters burst into perfectly timed musical numbers. Emotions are expressed through choreography. Moments shift seamlessly between realism and fantasy. So in that context, a flying car isn't out of place. It's the ultimate expression of everything the movie represents: fun, imagination, and spectacle. It's not meant to be questioned. It's meant to be felt. And honestly, that's why it works. Because instead of ending quietly, it leaves you with something unforgettable. A moment that makes you pause, smile, and maybe even rewind just to watch it again. And decades later, we're still talking about it. Number 1. Now here's the kind of what-if that could have completely rewritten movie history. Before John Travolta stepped into the role of Danny Zuko, there was another name at the top of the list: Henry Winkler. At the time, Winkler was already a massive star thanks to his role as a cool leather jacket-wearing character on TV. He had the look. He had the attitude. He had the presence. From the outside, he seemed like the perfect fit. So when the offer came in, it looked like a done deal. But instead of saying yes, he turned it down. And the reason makes this even more interesting. Winkler wasn't thinking about just one movie. He was thinking about his entire career. He knew that taking on another similar role could lock him into a single type of character forever. The same style, the same personality, the same expectations. So he made a risky decision. He walked away. Now imagine that for a second. One choice, one decision, and suddenly the door opens for someone else. That someone? A rising actor named John Travolta. At the time, Travolta was building momentum, but he wasn't yet the global icon he would become. This role changed everything, and here's why he was the perfect fit. He wasn't just acting the part. He could sing, he could dance, he could bring energy to every single scene in a way that felt natural and effortless. Every movement, every expression, every moment of swagger felt authentic. He didn't just play Danny Zuko, he became Danny Zuko, and that performance helped elevate the entire film. It turned key scenes into iconic moments. It gave the character a balance of charm and edge that audiences connected with instantly, and it helped launch Travolta into a completely different level of stardom. Meanwhile, Winkler later admitted something that makes this story even more fascinating. He realized he might have passed on something special, but at the same time, he also acknowledged that Travolta brought something unique to the role, something that made it work in a way no one else could. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because it's not just about who almost got the role, it's about how the right person ended up with it at exactly the right time. A single decision that shaped an entire film, an entire career, and ultimately, a piece of cinematic history. Bonus. Some movies come and go, they make a splash, maybe win a few awards, and then fade into the background. But this film, it did the exact opposite. Instead of fading away, it kept growing, year after year, generation after generation, turning into something much bigger than anyone originally imagined. When it first hit theaters in 1978, it was already a massive success. Crowds filled cinemas, songs played everywhere. Audiences kept coming back for repeat viewings. But what no one could have predicted was how long that momentum would last. Because this wasn't just a hit movie, it became a cultural phenomenon. Let's start with the soundtrack. Most movie songs fade after a few months. These didn't. Tracks like the ones performed by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John didn't just climb the charts, they stayed there. They became staples. Songs people didn't just listen to but sang. At parties, at school events, at karaoke nights, even decades later, the moment those opening notes hit, people instantly recognize them. That's rare. That's timeless. Then there's the look. The leather jackets, the hairstyles, the attitude, and of course, the iconic pink ladies jackets. These weren't just costumes anymore. They became symbols. Symbols of confidence, friendship, rebellion, and identity. Even today, walk into any costume party or themed event, and chances are you'll spot someone channeling that exact style. That's not nostalgia, that's influence. Unlike many films that disappear after their theater run, this one found a second life, then a third, then a fourth. It played on TV again and again. It was rewatched on VHS, then DVD, then streaming. Each new format introduced it to a new audience. Parents showed it to their kids. Friends introduced it to friends, and somehow it kept working. The humor still landed, the music still hit, the energy still felt fresh. What's even more impressive, its reach wasn't limited to one place. This film connected with audiences all over the world. Different cultures, different languages, same reaction. People got it, they felt it, because at its core, it wasn't just about one story, it was about something universal: youth, identity, belonging, and transformation. Over time, it became more than just entertainment. It became part of pop culture history. School performances, stage revivals, tribute shows, entire productions built around keeping its spirit alive. And every time it's reimagined, it finds a way to connect all over again. Here's the real reason this legacy never faded. It's not just what the movie is, it's how it makes people feel. It's fun without trying too hard, stylized without losing heart, simple but unforgettable. And in a world where trends change fast, that kind of staying power is rare. Decades later, new movies come out every year. Bigger budgets, more effects, more technology. But somehow, this one still holds its place, still gets talked about, still gets replayed, still gets remembered. Not just as a movie, but as a moment in time that never really ended. And that's the kind of legacy most films only dream of. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite classics. See you in the next one.